Why look for conspiracy when stupidity can explain so much? A man sees in the world what he carries in his heart. Every day we should hear at least one little song, read one good poem, see one exquisite picture, and, if possible, speak a few sensible words. You can easily judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. Courage is the commitment to begin without any guarantee of success. We do not have to visit a madhouse to find disordered minds. Our planet is the mental institution of the universe. If I accept you as you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though you are what you are capable of becoming, I help you become that. To the world you might be one person, but to one person you might be the world. Kindness is the golden chain by which our world is bound together. At the moment of commitment, the entire universe conspires to assist you. There is nothing more frightful than ignorance in action. Magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, you can make anything happen. Nothing is worth more than this day. You cannot relive yesterday. Tomorrow is still beyond your reach. Too many parents make life hard for their children by trying too zealously to make it easy for them. Everything is hard before it is easy. To think is easy, to act is difficult. To act as one thinks is the most difficult. The best slave is the one who thinks he is free. Ignorant men raise questions that wise men answered 1,000 years ago. If nature is your teacher, your soul will awaken. Our friends show us what we can do. Our enemies teach us what we must do. There is nothing worse than aggressive stupidity. A person hears only what they understand. Behavior is the mirror in which everyone shows their image. We must always change, renew, rejuvenate ourselves, otherwise we harden. People who think honestly and deeply have a hostile attitude towards the public. A man who cannot command himself will always be a slave. The person born with a talent they are meant to use will find their greatest happiness in using it. If you want someone to develop a specific trait, treat them as though they already had it. Correction does much, but encouragement does more. The way you see people is the way you treat them, and the way you treat them is what they become. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. What is not started today is never finished tomorrow. Mountains cannot be surmounted except by winding paths. Be always resolute with the present hour. Every moment is of infinite value. Music is liquid architecture. Architecture is frozen music. Oblivion is full of people who allow the opinions of others to overrule their belief in themselves. What is important in life is life, and not the result of life. Talent develops in quiet, alone. Character is sharpened in the torrent of the world. If you want a wise answer, ask a reasonable question. What is hardest of all? That which seems most simple, to see with your eyes what is before your eyes. Belief is not the beginning of knowledge, it is the end. Mankind, that is an abstraction. There have always been and always will be only individuals. Enjoy what you can, endure what you must. Things which matter most must never be at the mercy of things which matter least. Look at a man the way he is and he only becomes worse, but look at him as if he were what he could be, then he becomes what he should be. Our senses don't deceive us, our judgment does. Who is the wisest man? He who neither knows or wishes for anything else than what happens. Of all thieves, fools are the worst. They rob you of time and temper. The greater the knowledge, the greater the doubt. Everything is simpler than you think and at the same time more complex than you imagine. The best government is that which teaches us to govern ourselves. No one would talk much in society if they knew how often they misunderstood others. Sin writes histories, goodness is silent. The flowers are full of honey, but only the bee finds out the sweetness. Nothing shows a man's character more than what he laughs at. Progress has not followed a straight ascending line, but a spiral with rhythms of progress and retrogression, of evolution and dissolution. There is nothing in the world more shameful than establishing oneself on lies and fables. Very few people love others for what they are. Rather, they love what they lend them, their own selves, their own idea of them. A wife is a gift bestowed upon a man to reconcile him to the loss of paradise. The intelligent man finds almost everything ridiculous, the sensible man hardly anything. It is sometimes essential for a husband and a wife to quarrel. They get to know each other better. Difficulties increase the nearer we get to the goal. Ingratitude is always a kind of weakness. I have never known men of ability to be ungrateful. Divide and rule, a sound motto. Unite and lead, a better one. A reasonable man needs only to practice moderation to find happiness. Painting and tattooing the body is a return to animalism. Correction does much, but encouragement does more. Encouragement after censure is as the sun after a shower. It is not doing the thing we like to do, but liking the thing we have to do. That makes life blessed. Kindness is the golden thread that holds society together. If you want to make life easy, make it hard. By nature we have no defect that could not become a strength, no strength that could not become a defect. Whatever you can do or dream, begin it. I can promise to be sincere, but I cannot promise to be impartial. Wisdom is found only in truth. The more one knows, the more one comprehends, the more one realizes that everything turns in a circle. It is not enough to take steps which may someday lead to a goal. Each step must be itself a goal, and a step likewise. We're only really thinking when we can't think out fully what we are really thinking about. Beware of a man of one book. Our passions are the true phoenixes. When the old one is burnt out, a new one rises from its ashes. Whoever wishes to keep a secret must hide the fact that he possesses one. To think is easy, to act is hard, but the hardest thing in the world is to act in accordance with your thinking. Rest not, life is sweeping by, go and dare before you die, something mighty and sublime, leave behind to conquer time. One is never deceived, one deceives oneself. Tolerance should really be only a temporary attitude. It must lead to recognition. To tolerate means to offend. To have more, you must first be more. Choose well. Your choice is brief and yet endless. Dream no small dreams, for they have no power to move the hearts of men. We see only what we know. One cannot develop taste from what is of average quality, but only from the very best. Few people have the imagination for reality. Life is the childhood of our immortality. What is my life if I am no longer useful to others? The day is committed to error and floundering. Success and achievement are matters of long range. Know thyself. If I knew myself, I would run away. The important thing in life is to have a great aim and the determination to attain it. A joy shared is a joy doubled. Gray are all the theories, but green is the tree of life. Truth must be repeated again and again, because error is constantly being preached round about. He is the happiest man who can see the connection between the end and the beginning of life. By seeking and blundering we learn. Life is too short to drink bad wine. We are shaped and fashioned by what we love. I love those who yearn for the impossible. Man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he is. What is uttered from the heart alone will win the hearts of others to your own. Nothing is worse than active ignorance. Misunderstandings and neglect occasion more mischief in the world than malice and wickedness. Beware of dissipating your powers. Strive constantly to concentrate them. Against criticism, a man can neither protest nor defend himself. He must act in spite of it, and then it will gradually yield to him. The dangers of life are infinite, and among them is safety. For a brave man deserves a well-endowed girl. If you live criticizing people, you won't have time to love them. He is happiest, be he king or peasant, who finds peace in his home. Only law can give us freedom. Doesn't surprise me that Christ our Lord preferred to live with whores and sinners, seeing I go in for that myself. The solution of every problem is another problem. The soul that sees beauty may sometimes walk alone. There is strong shadow where there is much light. There is nothing insignificant in the world. It all depends on how one looks at it. We can really respect a man only if he doesn't always look out for himself. If you've never eaten while crying, you don't know what life tastes like. When a wife has a good husband, it is easily seen on her face. I am what I am, so take me as I am. Fresh activity is the only means of overcoming adversity. Do not give in too much to feelings. An overly sensitive heart is an unhappy possession on this shaky earth. The old lose one of the greatest privileges of man, for they are no longer judged by their contemporaries. The hardest thing to see is what is in front of your eyes. Who are you then? I am part of that power which eternally wills evil and eternally works good. We cannot and must not get rid of nor deny our characteristics, but we can give them shape and direction. The highest happiness of man is to have probed what is knowable and quietly to revere what is unknowable. The man with insight enough to admit his limitations comes nearest to perfection. A great revolution is never the fault of the people, but of the government. The eternal feminine draws us on high. Stupidity is without anxiety. Nothing tells more about the character of a man than the things he makes fun of. Thinking is more interesting than knowing, but less interesting than looking. It is in human nature to relax when not compelled by personal advantage or disadvantage. Doubt can only be removed by action. Alas, how much there is in education and in our social institutions to prepare us and our children for insanity. Destiny grants us our wishes, but in its own way, in order to give us something beyond our wishes. To accept good advice is but to increase one's own ability. How many years must a man do nothing before he can at all know what is to be done and how to do it? The decline of literature indicates the decline of a nation. Everything that frees our spirit without giving us control of ourselves is ruinous. The highest cannot be spoken, it can only be acted. Life belongs to the living, and he who lives must be prepared for changes. A man doesn't learn to understand anything unless he loves it. To the person with a firm purpose, all men and things are servants. All the knowledge I possess everyone else can acquire, but my heart is all my own. All things are only transitory. Nothing is more damaging to the truth than an old error. The older I get, the more I trust in the law according to which the rose and the lily bloom. Life teaches us to be less harsh with ourselves and with others. Money lost, something lost, honor lost, much lost, courage lost, everything lost. Better you were never born. Every solution of a problem is a new problem. Impotent hatred is the most horrible of all emotions. One should hate nobody whom one cannot destroy. Let everyone sweep in front of his own door, and the whole world will be clean. If man thinks about his physical or moral state, he usually discovers that he is ill. A person places themselves on a level with the ones they praise. Mere curiosity adds wings to every step. Writing history is a method of getting rid of the past. Doubt grows with knowledge. Every reader, if he has a strong mind, reads himself into the book and amalgamates his thoughts with those of the author. Treat people the way they are and they will stay that way. Treat people the way they can become and they will become that way. A man's foibles are what makes him lovable. A man is really alive only when he delights in the goodwill of others. You accuse a woman of wavering affections, but don't blame her. She is just looking for a consistent man. We are accustomed to see men deride what they do not understand and snarl at the good and beautiful because it lies beyond their sympathies. The public wishes itself to be managed like a woman. One must say nothing to it except what it likes to hear. Do the duty which lies nearest to thee. Whoever would do good in the world ought not to deal in censure. We ought not to destroy, but rather construct. Give me the benefit of your convictions, if you have any, but keep your doubts to yourself, for I have enough of my own. What is part of you, you cannot get rid of, even if you were to throw it away. Love of truth shows itself in this, that a man knows how to find and value the good in everything. Everybody wants to be somebody, nobody wants to grow. Legislators and revolutionaries who promise both equality and liberty are visionaries and charlatans. One can be instructed in society. One is inspired only in solitude. In nature we never see anything isolated, but everything in connection with something else which is before it, beside it, under it, and over it. We must be young to do great things. Tell me with whom you associate, and I will tell you who you are. Every man bears something within him that, if it were publicly announced, would excite feelings of aversion. All perishable is but an allegory. If you inquire what people are like here, I must answer, the same as everywhere. How How can you come to know yourself? Never by thinking, always by doing. Try to do your duty, and you'll know right away what you amount to. Everything is both simpler than we can imagine and more entangled than we can conceive. Investigate what is and not what pleases. Boldness has power, magic, and genius in it. One cannot always be a hero, but one can always be a man. There is nothing in which people more betray their character than in what they laugh at. Nature knows no pause in progress and development, and attaches her curse on all inaction. Love does not rule, but it trains, and that is more. This is the highest wisdom that I own. Freedom and life are earned by those alone who conquer them each day anew. All truths are old, and all that we have to do is recognize and utter them anew. Unlimited activity, of whatever kind, must end in bankruptcy. There are two things children should get from their parents: roots and wings. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. He who is and remains true to himself and to others has the most attractive quality of the greatest talent. Man's highest merit always is, as much as possible, to rule external circumstances, and as little as possible to let himself be ruled by them. Girls we love for what they are, young men for what they promise to be. The really unhappy person is the one who leaves undone what they can do and starts doing what they don't understand. No wonder they come to grief. He who cannot draw on 3,000 years is living from hand to mouth. As long as you are not aware of the continual law of die and be again, you are merely a vague guest on a dark earth. If you wish to advance into the infinite, explore the finite in all directions. Man can find no better retreat from the world than art, and man can find no stronger link with the world than art. True love is love that stays constant forever, whatever its fortune, whether requited or scored, filled or sent empty away. Mystery is truth's dancing partner. One man's word is no man's word. We should quietly hear both sides. Higher aims are in themselves more valuable, even if unfulfilled, than lower ones quite attained. Generosity wins favor for everyone, especially when it is accompanied by modesty. I always seek the good that is in people and leave the bad to him who made mankind and knows how to round off the corners. Daring ideas are like chessmen moved forward. They may be beaten, but they may start a winning game. If any man wish to write in a clear style, let him be first clear in his thoughts, and if any would write in a noble style, let him first possess a noble soul. Self-knowledge comes from knowing other men. As soon as you trust yourself, you will know how to live. Distrust those in whom the desire to punish is strong. Begin by instructing yourself, then you will receive instruction from others. Where the light is brightest, the shadows are deepest. One must be something to be able to do something. Divide and rule, the politician cries. Unite and lead, is watchword of the wise. Nothing puts me so completely out of patience as the utterance of a wretched commonplace when I am talking from my inmost heart. So, lively, brisk old fellow, don't let age get you down. White hairs or not, you can still be a lover. Every author in some way portrays himself in his works, even if it be against his will. The rich want good wine, the poor plenty of wine. They should be ashamed of themselves, all these sober people. Willing is not enough, we must do. A good person, striving dimly, is well aware of the right path. It is the nature of grace always to fill spaces that have been empty. Whatever liberates our spirit without also giving us mastery over ourselves is destructive. Originality provokes originality. Fortunately, we can take in only so much misfortune. What exceeds that limit either destroys us or leaves us indifferent. The greatest joy of a thinking man is to have searched the explored and to quietly revere the unexplored. The errors of the observer come from the qualities of the human mind. Who is sure of their own motives can in confidence advance or retreat. We don't get to know anything but what we love. I respect the man who knows distinctly what he wants. We usually lose today because there has been a yesterday, and tomorrow is coming. Error is to truth as sleep is to waking. I have observed that one turns, as if refreshed, from error back to truth. The day is of infinite length for him who knows how to appreciate and use it. Create, artist, do not talk. Hope enough to remove all anxious fears concerning the future. The written word has this advantage, that it lasts and can await the time when it is allowed to take effect. To understand one thing well is better than understanding many things by halves. Death is nature's expert advice to get plenty of life. Common sense is the genius of humanity. The one who always strives, that one can be redeemed. In the realm of ideas, everything depends on enthusiasm. In the real world, all rests on perseverance. A great scholar is seldom a great philosopher. Never by reflection, but only by doing is self-knowledge possible to one. Patriotism corrupts history. In comradeship is danger countered best. If you don't know foreign languages, you don't know anything about your own. When young, one is confident to be able to build palaces for mankind. But when the time comes, one has one's hands full just to be able to remove their trash. Don't judge anyone harshly until you yourself have been through his experiences. Whatever nature undertakes, she can only accomplish it in a sequence. She never makes a leap. All of us have life, few of us have an idea of it. He who is plenteously provided for from within needs but little from without. Habit is the most imperious of all masters. Science and art belong to the whole world, and before them vanish the barriers of nationality. You must be either the servant or the master, the hammer or the anvil. It is in self-limitation that a master first shows himself. To rule is easy, to govern difficult. Personality is everything in art and poetry. Nothing will change the fact that I cannot produce the least thing without absolute solitude. Who is the most sensible person? The one who finds what is to their own advantage in all that happens to them. The most difficult thing is what is thought to be the simplest, to really see the things which are before your eyes. People of uncommon abilities generally fall into eccentricities when their sphere of life is not adequate to their abilities. The right man is the one who seizes the moment. One doesn't always lose when one has to do without. There is no better deliverance from the world than through art, and a man can form no surer bond with it. Let no one be like another, yet everyone like the highest. How is this done? Be each one perfect in himself. It is impossible that beauty should ever distinctly appreciate itself. It is said that no man is a hero to his valet. That is because a hero can be recognized only by a hero. Hypotheses are lullabies for teachers to sing their students to sleep. Our passions are true phoenixes. As the old burn out, the new straight rise up from the ashes. The coward only threatens when he is safe. The mediator of the inexpressible is the work of art. The century is advanced, but every individual begins afresh. To make something, you have to be something. If you wish to know the mind of a man, listen to his words. It is only necessary to grow old to become more charitable and even indulgent. I see no fault committed by others that I have not committed myself. Beauty is everywhere a welcome guest. The greatest evil that can befall man is that he should come to think ill of himself. Fret not over the irretrievable, but ever act as if thy life were just begun. The miller believes that all the wheat grows so that his mill keeps running. Be generous with kindly words, especially about those who are absent. Opponents fancy they refute us when they repeat their own opinion and pay no attention to ours. To be loved for what one is, that is the greatest exception. The great majority love in others only what they lend him, their own selves, their version of him. One never goes further than when they do not know where they are going. Live dangerously and you live right. Night is the other half of life, and the better half. Only by joy and sorrow does a person know anything about themselves and their destiny. They learn what to do and what to avoid. Of the book of books, most wondrous is the tender book of love. He who possesses art and science has religion. He who does not possess them needs religion. Superstition is part of the poetry of life. Of all peoples, the Greeks have dreamt the dream of life best. The destiny of any nation at any given time depends on the opinion of its young people, those under 25. Words are mere sound and smoke, dimming the heavenly light. A creation of importance can only be produced when its author isolates himself. It is a child of solitude. It seems to never occur to fools that merit and good fortune are closely united. I let everyone follow his own bent, that I may be free to follow mine. Don't give us your doubts, give us your certainties, for we have doubts enough of our own. It is equally a mistake to hold oneself too high, or to rate oneself too cheap. What one has wished for in youth, in old age one has in abundance. Man can only endure a certain degree of unhappiness. What is beyond that either annihilates him or passes by him, and leaves him apathetic. The happy do not believe in miracles. Great passions are incurable diseases. The sum which two married people owe to one another defies calculation. It is an infinite debt which can only be discharged through all eternity. What then is your duty? What the day demands? Prudent and active men who know their strength and use it with limit and circumspection alone go far in the affairs of the world. Human life runs its course in the metamorphosis between receiving and giving. Where there are no women, there are no good manners. Who is the happiest man? He who is alive to the merit of others and can rejoice in their enjoyment as if it were his own. I hate everything that merely instructs me without augmenting or directly invigorating my activity. To measure up to all that is demanded of him, a man must overestimate his capacities. He who does not expect 1,000,000 readers should not write a line. Experiments are mediators between nature and idea. Look closely at those who patronize you, half are unfeeling, half untaught. The older we get, the more we must limit ourselves if we wish to be active. The traveler was active. He went strenuously in search of people, of adventure, of experience. The tourist is passive. What we agree with leaves us inactive, but contradiction makes us productive. People are always talking about originality, but what do they mean? As soon as we are born, the world begins to work upon us, and this goes on to the end. All intelligent thoughts have already been thought. What is necessary is only to try to think them again. The little man is still a man. Someday perhaps the inner light will shine forth from us, and we'll need no other light. Nature has neither core nor skin. She's both at once outside and in. If in the infinite you want to stride, just walk in the finite to every side. All our knowledge is symbolic. You don't have to travel around the world to understand that the sky is blue everywhere. I can tell you, honest friend, what to believe. Believe life. It teaches better that book or orator. You don't love if you don't take the beloved's faults for virtues. One errs as long as one strives. What one doesn't understand, one doesn't possess. He who is firm and resolute in will molds the world to himself. Nothing is worth more than this day. We are pantheists when we study nature, polytheists when we write poetry, monotheists in our morality. Be above it. Make the world serve your purpose, but do not serve it. Every second is of infinite value. That is the way of youth and life in general, that we do not understand the strategy until after the campaign is over. We blame equally him who is too proud to put a proper value on his own merit, and him who prizes too highly his spurious worth. One never goes so far as when one doesn't know where one is going. Enjoy when you can, and endure when you must. Marriage is the beginning and pinnacle of civilization. What chance gathers, she easily scatters. A great person attracts great people and knows how to hold them together. Treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you help them to become what they are capable of being. We can offer up much in the large, but to make sacrifices in little things is what we are seldom equal to. When translating, one must proceed up to the intranslatable. Only then one becomes aware of the foreign nation and the foreign tongue. Nature does not suffer her veil to be taken from her, and what she does not choose to reveal to the spirit, thou wilt not wrest from her by levers and screws. One that does not think too highly of himself is more than he thinks. Certain flaws are necessary for the whole. It would seem strange if old friends lacked certain quirks. To know someone here or there with whom you can feel there is understanding in spite of distances, or thoughts expressed, that can make life a garden. Reason can never be popular. Passions and feelings may become popular, but reason will always remain the sole property of a few eminent individuals. Change amuses the mind, but rarely profits. A really great talent finds its happiness in execution. The best fortune that can fall to a man is that which corrects his defects and makes up for his failings. Wine rejoices the heart of man, and joy is the mother of all virtues. Any trifle is enough to entertain two lovers. We are forced to participate in the games of life before we can possibly learn how to use the options and the rules governing them. There are few who have at once thought and capacity for action. Thought expands, but lames; action animates, but narrows. Music is so elevated that it is beyond the reach of intellect, and there flows from it an influence which is all potent and which no one can explain. The rogue has everywhere the advantage. Every situation, nay, every moment, is of infinite worth, for it is the representative of a whole eternity. There are people who pay attention to the weaknesses of their friends. That is to no avail. I have always closely watched and profited from the strengths of my adversaries. All beginnings are delightful. The threshold is the place to pause. There are only two lasting bequests we can hope to give our children. One of these is roots, the other wings. If children grew up according to early indications, we should have nothing but geniuses. The human mind will not be confined to any limits. Everything that we encounter leaves traces behind. Everything contributes imperceptibly to our education. Nature goes her own way, and all that to us seems an exception is really according to order. I have possessed that heart, that noble soul, in whose presence I seemed to be more than I really was, because I was all that I could be. No one knows what he is doing so long as he is acting rightly, but of what is wrong one is always conscious. The ideal of beauty is simplicity and tranquility. I wish the stage were as narrow as the wire of a tightrope dancer so that no incompetent would dare step upon it. He who moves not forward goes backward. The follies of the wise man are known to himself, but hidden from the world. Being brilliant is no great feat if you respect nothing. He alone deserves liberty and life who daily must win them anew. Devote each day to the object then in time, and every evening will find something done. Is not the core of nature in the heart of man? They teach in academies far too many things, and far too much that is useless. There are people who make no mistakes because they never wish to do anything worth doing. We must not take the faults of our youth with us into old age, for age brings along its own defects. All theory, dear friend, is gray, but the golden tree of life springs evergreen. He is happy as well as great who needs neither to obey nor to command in order to be something. He only earns his freedom and his life who takes them every day by storm. Every man has enough power left to carry out that of which he is convinced. All is born of water, all is sustained by water. Is it life, I ask, is it even prudence, to bore thyself and bore the students? Piety, like nobility, has its aristocracy. The rainbow mirrors human aims and action. Think, and more clearly wilt thou grasp it, seeing life is but light in many-hued reflection. The hero draws inspiration from the virtue of his ancestors. A man's manners are a mirror in which he shows his portrait. We are never deceived, we deceive ourselves. One alone does not help, but rather he who unites with many at the right moment. Plunge boldly into the thick of life and seize it where you will. It is always interesting. Great thoughts and a pure heart, that is what we should ask from God. We are our own aptest deceiver. Art is long, life is short, judgment difficult, opportunity transient. A state of affairs which leads to daily vexation is not the right state. Error is acceptable as long as we are young, but one must not drag it along into old age. Do not hurry, do not rest. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Keep not standing fixed and rooted. Briskly venture, briskly roam. Letters are among the most significant memorial a person can leave behind them. Shakespeare is a great psychologist, and whatever can be known of the heart of man may be found in his plays. The whole history of the Christian church is a mixture of errors and violence. With little wit and ease to suit them, they whirl in narrow circling trails, like kittens playing with their tails. Few are open to conviction, but the majority of men are open to persuasion. The proper place for liberality is in the realm of the emotions. Every beginning is cheerful. In art, the best is good enough. Wanted, a dog that neither barks nor bites, eats broken glass and shits diamonds. Take care of your body with steadfast fidelity. The soul must see through these eyes alone, and if they are dim, the whole world is clouded. We are our own devils. We drive ourselves out of our Edens. It matters little whether a man be mathematically or philologically or artistically cultivated, so he be but cultivated. We eagerly get hold of a law that serves as a weapon to our passions. People always fancy that we must become old to become wise, but, in truth, as years advance, it is hard to keep ourselves as wise as we were. The world is so full of simpletons and madmen that one need not seek them in a madhouse. A man is not little when he finds it difficult to cope with circumstances, but when circumstances overmaster him. Love is an ideal thing, marriage a real thing. A confusion of the real with the ideal never goes unpunished. Certain books seem to be written, not that we might learn from them, but in order that we might see how much the author knows. I hate all explanations. They who make them deceive either themselves or the other party, generally both. Some people spend the day in complaining of a headache, and the night in drinking the wine that gives it. If you miss the first buttonhole, you will not succeed in buttoning up your coat. Solitude is fine when you are at peace with yourself and have something definite to do. If only these treasures were not so fragile as they are precious and beautiful. The mob has nothing to lose, everything to gain. It's true that nothing in this world makes us so necessary to others as the affection we have for them. If you must tell me your opinions, tell me what you believe in. I have plenty of doubts of my own. What I possess seems far away to me, and what is gone becomes reality. When intelligent and sensible people despise knowledge in their old age, it is only because they have asked too much of it and of themselves. Just trust yourself and you'll learn the art of living. Truth is a torch, but a terrific one. Therefore, we all try to reach it with closed eyes, lest we should be scorched. Sometimes our fate resembles a fruit tree in winter, who would think that those branches would turn green again and blossom, but we hope it, we know it. How circumscribed is woman's destiny? I am not omniscient, but I know a lot. I think that I am better than the people who are trying to reform me. The deepest, the only theme of human history, compared to which all others are of subordinate importance, is the conflict of skepticism with faith. It makes no good to point the failures out without showing at the same time the remedy to address them. The real scholar learns how to evolve the unknown from the known and draws near the master. To the man of thought, almost nothing is really ridiculous. Mannerism always wants to be finished and doesn't enjoy the process. Genuine, truly great talent, however, finds its greatest satisfaction in the production. Hatred is active and envy passive dislike. There is but one step from envy to hate. Forget not that the man who cannot enjoy his own natural gifts in silence and find his reward in the exercise of them will generally find himself badly off. Every spoken word arouses our self-will. We always hope, and in all things it is better to hope than to despair. The older we grow, the greater become the ordeals. We can always redeem the man who aspires and strives. Viewed from the summit of reason, all life looks like a malignant disease, and the world like a madhouse. Stones are mute teachers, they silence the observer, and the most valuable lesson we learn from them we cannot communicate. Men are much more apt to agree in what they do than in what they think. There are situations in which hope and fear run together, in which they mutually destroy one another and lose themselves in dull indifference. What people call the spirit of the times is mostly their own spirit in which the times mirror themselves. Just begin and the mind grows heated. Continue, and the task will be completed. Hold your powers together for something good and let everything go that is for you without result and is not suited to you. Skeptics are yet the most credulous. Precaution is better than cure. A talent is formed in stillness, a character in the world's torrent. Hope is the second soul of the unhappy. We gladly put antiquity above our age, but not posterity. Only a father doesn't begrudge his son's talent. who longs in solitude to live. Soon his wish will gain. Men hope and love, men get and give, and leave him to his pain. Those who hope for no other life are dead even for this. Do you want to live happily? Travel with 2 bags, one for giving, the other for receiving. There is nothing so terrible as activity without insight. If I love you, what business is it of yours? Beware of wishing for anything in youth, because you will get it in middle age. Art is based on a strong sentiment of religion, on a profound and mighty earnestness, hence it is so prone to cooperate with religion. To make converts is the natural ambition of everyone. All men would be masters of others, and no man is lord of himself. Character, in things great and small, is indicated when a man pursues with sustained follow-through what he feels himself capable of doing. The world is full of contradiction. Do not, I beg you, look for anything behind phenomena. They are themselves their own lesson. Miracle is the pet child of faith. We all walk in mysteries. We are surrounded by an atmosphere about which we still know nothing at all. Passions are vices or virtues to their highest powers. The formation of one's character ought to be everyone's chief aim. There are but few who have ideas and are, at the same time, capable of action. Ideas enlarge but stymie, action enlivens but confines. Chess is the touchstone of intellect. If you want to reach the infinite, then explore every aspect of the finite. There is no outward sign of true courtesy that does not rest on a deep moral foundation. Love and desire are the spirit's wings to great deeds. Oh, how sweet it is to hear one's own convictions from another's lips. The aim of living is life itself. If we are out of sync with ourselves, everything is out of sync for us. Where is the man who has the strength to be true and to show himself as he is? It is a maxim of wise government to treat people not as they should be but as they actually are. To be pleased with one's limits is a wretched state. Is this the destiny of man? Is he only happy before he has acquired his reason, or after he has lost it? Man supposes that he directs his life and governs his actions when his existence is irretrievably under the control of destiny. Manners form the great charm of women. There is no crime of which I do not deem myself capable. The beginning of faith is the beginning of fruitfulness, but the beginning of unbelief, however glittering, is empty. If society gives up the right to impose the death penalty, then self-help will appear again, and personal vendettas will be around the corner. Daily life is more instructive than the most effective book. It is not enough to have knowledge, one must apply it. It is not enough to have wishes, one must also accomplish it. There is repetition everywhere, and nothing is found only once in the world. A talent can be cultivated in tranquility, a character only in the rushing stream of life. Collectors are happy people. If you wish a wise answer, you must put a rational question. To have seen Italy without having seen Sicily is to not have seen Italy at all, for Sicily is the clue to everything. With little art, clear wit and sense suggest their own delivery. I will be lord over myself. Nothing is so atrocious as fancy without taste. Every need whose true satisfaction is denied leads by necessity to faith. Tolerance should, strictly speaking, be only a passing mood. It ought to lead to acknowledgement and appreciation. To tolerate a person is to affront him. Love is an ideal thing, marriage a real thing. The artist who is not also a craftsman is no good, but, alas, most of our artists are nothing else. If you treat an individual as if he were what he ought to be and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. The artist alone sees spirits, but after he has told of their appearing to him, everybody sees them. Nothing is more terrible than to see ignorance in action. You are, when all is done, just what you are. Mediocrity has no greater consolation than in the thought that genius is not immortal. The greatest difficulties lie where we are not looking for them. No wise combatant underestimates their antagonist. As man is, so is his God, and thus is God oft strangely odd. To know where a thing is, we must have found it. To tremble before anticipated evils is to bemoan what thou hast never lost. Man's restlessness makes him strive. Unrest and uncertainty are our lot. Mathematicians are like Frenchmen. Whatever you say to them, they translate into their own language, and forthwith it is something entirely different. Every person above the ordinary has a certain mission that they are called to fulfill. Shakespeare is dangerous to young poets. They cannot but reproduce him, while they fancy that they produce themselves. Every step of life shows much caution is required. The person who in shaky times also wavers only increases the evil, but the person of firm decision fashions the universe. Our wishes are presentiments of the abilities that lie in us, harbingers of what we will be able to accomplish. Excellence is rarely found, more rarely valued. The beautiful is a phenomenon which is never apparent of itself, but is reflected in 1,000 different works of the Creator. Certain defects are necessary for the existence of individuality. Wer fremd sprachen nicht kennt, weiß nichts von seiner eigenen. He who is ignorant of foreign languages knows not his own. Those that are firm in there will mold the world to themselves. Let us not dream that reason can ever be popular. Passions, emotions may be made popular, but reason remains ever the property of an elect few. We who didn't inherit political power nor are made to acquire riches like nothing better than that which expands and solidifies the power of the Spirit. Let us live in as small a circle as we will. We are either debtors or creditors before we have had time to look around. No one has ever learned fully to know themselves. Some of our weaknesses are born in us, others are the result of education. It is a question which of the two gives us most trouble. Riches amassed in haste will diminish, but those collected by hand and little by little will multiply. Were the eye not of the sun, how could we behold the light? If God's might and ours were not as one, how could his work enchant our sight? Those who make use of devotion as a means and end generally are hypocrites. One can stand anything except a succession of ordinary days. Superstition is rooted in a much deeper and more sensitive layer of the psyche than skepticism. The most fortunate of men, be he a king or commoner, is he whose welfare is assured in his own home. A judge who cannot punish, in the end associates themselves with the criminal. The new volcanism is really a daring attempt to connect the present, incomprehensible world to a past, unknown one. Everywhere, we learn only from those whom we love. Give me those days with heart in riot, the depths of bliss that touched on pain, the force of hate, and love's disquiet awe. Give me back my youth again. The people rate strength before everything. Go to foreign countries and you will get to know the good things one possesses at home. The mind is found most acute and most uneasy in the morning. Uneasiness is, indeed, a species of sagacity, a passive sagacity. Fools are never uneasy. Clever people are always the best conversation's lexicon. One must ask children and birds how cherries and strawberries taste. Plunge boldly into the thick of life. I treat my heart like a sick child and gratify its every fancy. A great deal may be done by severity, more by love, but most by clear discernment and impartial justice. Great possessions and great want of them are both strong temptations. But when all is said, the greatest art is to limit and isolate oneself. Character develops itself in the stream of life. A distracted existence leads us to no goal. For I have been a man, and that means to have been a fighter. Each 10 years of a man's life has its own fortunes, its own hopes, its own desires. Passions are defects or virtues in the highest power. Talk well of the absent whenever you have the opportunity. Take care of your body with steadfast fidelity. What you can do, or think you can, begin it. The eternal female draws us onward. It is delivery that makes the orator's success. Sameness leaves us in peace, but it is contradiction that makes us productive. An absent friend gives us friendly company when we are well assured of his happiness. I hate all bungling as I do sin, but particularly bungling in politics, which leads to the misery and ruin of many thousands and millions of people. A clever man commits no minor blunders. If you are to accomplish all that one demands of you, you must overestimate your own worth. The art of governing is a great meteor, requiring the whole man, and it is therefore not well for a ruler to have too strong tendencies for other affairs. A noble person attracts noble people and knows how to hold on to them. The greatest thing in this world is not so much where we stand as in what direction we are moving. Hatred is something peculiar. You will always find it strongest and most violent where there is the lowest degree of culture. And those whom once my song had cheered and gladdened, if still they live, rove through the world now saddened. The arts are the salt of the earth, as salt relates to food. The arts relate to technology. The senses do not deceive us, but the judgment does. You must either conquer and rule or serve and lose, suffer or triumph, be the anvil or the hammer. The artist has a twofold relation to nature. He is at once her master and her slave. Those only obtain love, for the most part, who seek it not. Voluntary dependence is the wonderful form of existence, and how could that be possible without love? A correct answer is like an affectionate kiss. People do not mind their faults being spread out before them, but they become impatient if called on to give them up. You'll never attain it unless you know the feeling. Humans fear reason, but they ought to fear stupidity, for reason can be hard, but stupidity can be fatal. We don't get to know people when they come to us. We must go to them to find out what they are like. The greatest happiness for the thinking person is to have explored the explorable, and to venerate in equanimity that which cannot be explored. Man is not born to solve the problem of the universe, but to find out what he has to do and to restrain himself within the limits of his comprehension. When you praise someone, you call yourself his equal. How many years you have to keep on doing until you know what to do and how to do. Nature has neither kernel nor shell. It is a misfortune to pass at once from observation to conclusion, and to regard both as of equal value, but it befalls many a student. Happy the man who early learns the wide chasm that lies between his wishes and his powers. The world of empirical morality consists, for the most part, of nothing but ill will and envy. True art can only spring from the intimate linking of the serious and the playful. Normally, people believe that, if they hear just words, that these words must lead to some thought. When two people are really happy about one another, one can generally assume they are mistaken. The world cannot do without great men, but great men are very troublesome to the world. Age does not make us childish, as some say, it finds us true children. Napoleon, for the sake of a good name, broke in pieces half the world. The person of analytic or critical intellect finds something ridiculous in everything. The person of synthetic or constructive intellect in almost nothing. It is the great triumph of genius to make the common appear novel. A purpose you impart is no longer your own. Microscopes and telescopes really confuse our minds. Mozart is a human incarnation of the divine force of creation. A man's errors are what make him amiable. Gifts come from above in their own peculiar forms. The sickness of the heart is most easily got rid of by complaining and soothing confidence. Self-knowledge is best learned not by contemplation, but by action. Were not the eye made to receive the rays of the sun, it could not behold the sun. If the peculiar power of God lay not in us, how could the godlike charm us? He who cannot learn to love must flatter. I laugh at my heart and do its will. The woman's soul leadeth us upward and on. I consider him of no account who esteems himself just as the popular breath may chance to raise him. We are surrounded by abysses, but the greatest of all depths is in our own heart, and an irresistible leaning leads us there. Draw thyself from thyself. What a day it is when we must envy the men and their graves. If you want to get pleasure out of life, you must attach value to the world. Everyone is deceived in his hopes, cheated in his expectations. Wherever a man may happen to turn, whatever a man may undertake, he will always end up by returning to that path which nature has marked out for him. Against great advantages in another, there are no means of defending ourselves except love. The man who acts never has any conscience. No one has any conscience but the man who thinks. Necessity is cruel, but it is the only test of inward strength. Every fool may live according to his own likings. Divide and command, a wise maxim, unite and guide, a better. If you are convinced of a matter, you must take sides or you don't deserve to succeed. Dower and Wetzel, duration and change. Nothing is more fearful than imagination without taste. Science has been seriously retarded by the study of what is not worth knowing and of what is not knowable. Fools and wise men are equally harmless. It is the half-fools and half-wise that are dangerous. Whoever makes it a rule to test action by thought, thought by action, cannot falter, and if he does, will soon find his way back to the right road. Gray is the color of all theory. Writing is busy idleness. We're really up against it, we poor women. A bachelor's a hard thing to convert. To hard necessity one's will and fancy must conform. 3 things are to be looked to in a building: that it stand on the right spot, that it is securely founded, that it be successfully executed. Man must strive, and striving he must err. Merely to breathe freely does not mean to live. When you take a man as he is, you make him worse. When you take a man as he can be, you make him better. Culture which smooth the whole world licks, also unto the devil sticks. Religion is not in want of art, it rests on its own majesty. Children, love one another, and if that is not possible, at least try to put up with one another. Energy will do anything that can be done in this world. A genuine work of art usually displeases at first sight, as it suggests a deficiency in the spectator. What a man does not understand, he does not possess. If you treat men the way they are, you never improve them. If you treat them the way you want them to be, you do. Water its living strength first shows, when obstacles its course oppose. Beauty is at once the ultimate principle and the highest aim of art. To act is easy, to think is hard, to act according to our thought is troublesome. Experience is only half of experience. We can stand only a certain amount of unhappiness. Anything beyond that annihilates us or passes us by, leaving us apathetic. Who can think wise or stupid things at all that were not thought already in the past? Bible grows more beautiful as we grow in our understanding of it. There is no patriotic art. To know of someone here and there whom we accord with, who is living on with us, even in silence, this makes our earthly ball a peopled garden. I have so much in me, and the feeling for her absorbs it all. I have so much, and without her it all comes to nothing. Wisdom is only found in truth. Every day look at a beautiful picture, read a beautiful poem, listen to some beautiful music, and if possible, say some reasonable thing. Of the truly creative no one is ever master. It must be left to go its own way. Some books seem to have been written not to teach us anything, but to let us know that the author has known something. Whoever aspiring struggles on, for him there is salvation. To make a young couple love each other, it is only necessary to oppose and separate them. Care is taken that trees do not grow into the sky. To make an epoch in the world, two conditions are manifestly essential: a good head and a great inheritance. Giving is the business of the rich. Unlike grown-ups, children have little need to deceive themselves. He is dead in this world who has no belief in another. He who cannot love must learn to flatter. To quit smoking, you must first want to quit, but then you must also do the quitting. All that is transitory is but a metaphor. Sound and sufficient reason falls, after all, to the share of but few men, and those few men exert their influence in silence. One always has time enough, if one will apply it well. True works of art contain their own theory and give us the measurement according to which we should judge them. People are so constituted that everybody would rather undertake what they see others do, whether they have an aptitude for it or not. The eye doesn't see any shapes, it sees only what is differentiated through light, and dark or through colors. Mysteries are not necessarily miracles. It is opposition that makes us productive. If a man knows where to get good advice, it is as though he could supply it himself. I am part of the part that once was everything, part of the darkness which gave birth to light. Mephistopheles, from Faust. He who does not see the whole world and his friends does not deserve that the world should hear of him. For just when ideas fail, a word comes in to save the situation. He who has art and science also has religion, but those who do not have them better have religion. Science arose from poetry. When times change, the two can meet again on a higher level as friends. But one must know where one stands and where the others wish to go. Objects and pictures should so be arranged as by their very position to tell their own story. It is the strange fate of man that even in the greatest of evils the fear of the worst continues to haunt him. Idea and experience will never coincide in the center. Only through art and action are they united. What is fruitful alone is true. Only the heart without a stain knows ease. It is a great error to take oneself for more than one is, or for less than one is worth. It is better to be deceived by one's friends than to deceive them. One can't dull a project better than by discussing it repeatedly. There is no patriotic art and no patriotic science. The Christian religion, though scattered and abroad, will in the end gather itself together at the foot of the cross. A useless life is an early death. If everyone sweeps before his own front door, then the street is clean. Desire is the presentiment of our inner abilities and the forerunner of our ultimate accomplishments. I have found among my papers a sheet in which I call architecture frozen music. Whatever necessity lays upon thee, endure. Whatever she commands, do. Age merely shows what children we remain. To appreciate the noble is a gain which can never be torn from us. To create something, you must be something. When ideas fail, words come in very handy. If you call a thing bad, you do little. If you call a thing good, you do much. Life is not anything but an opportunity for something. One ought, every day, to hear a song, read a fine poem, and, if possible, to speak a few reasonable words. That which is eternal in woman lifts us above. Hatred is a heavy burden. It sinks the heart deep in the breast and lies like a tombstone on all joys. If it is the greatest truth that you seek, the plants can direct you. So long as you live and work, you will be misunderstood. To that you must resign yourself once and for all. Be silent. Not art and science only, but patience will be required for the work. Thought expands, but paralyzes. Action animates, but narrows. Every form correctly seen is beautiful. Where I cannot be moral, my power is gone. Ambition and love are the wings of great actions. Nothing is true but that which is simple. Names are but noise and smoke, obscuring heavenly light. The poet should seize the particular, and he should, if there be anything sound in it, thus represent the universal. A stated truth loses its grace, but a repeated error appears insipid and ridiculous. But the valid issue is the extent to which man knows how to form and master the material at his command. Thus I reel from desire to fulfillment, and in fulfillment languish for desire. A true German can't stand the French, yet willingly he drinks their wines. It is better to be doing the most insignificant thing than to reckon even a half hour insignificant. Man errs till he has ceased to strive. I call architecture frozen music. It is only in misery that we recognize the hand of God leading good men to good. Only the soul that loves is happy. Beautiful is greater than good, for it includes the good. One's roused by this, another finds that fit. Each loves the play for what he brings to it. All professional men are handicapped by not being allowed to ignore things which are useless. A vain man can never be utterly ruthless. He wants to win applause, and therefore he accommodates himself to others. Too rigid scruples are concealed pride. When two men quarrel, who owns the cooler head is the more to blame. For a strolling damsel a doubtful reputation bears. Thou shalt abstain, renounce, refrain. Hatred is active displeasure, envy passive. We need not wonder that envy turns too soon to hatred. The whole art of living consists in giving up existence in order to exist. To be active is the primary vocation of man. Beauty is a manifestation of secret natural laws, which otherwise would have been hidden from us forever. own haste, a bur own rest, without haste, but without rest. A rainbow which lasts for a quarter of an hour is looked at no longer. It is better for you to suffer an injustice than for the world to be without law. Therefore, let everyone submit to the law. Energy will do anything that can be done in the world, and no talents, no circumstances, no opportunities will make a two-legged animal a man without it. Truth is a torch, but a huge one, and so it is only with blinking eyes what we all of us try to get past it, in actual terror of being burnt. Napoleon affords us an example of the danger of elevating oneself to the absolute and sacrificing everything to the carrying out of an idea. One would give generous alms if one had the eyes to see the beauty of a cupped receiving hand. Instruction does much, but encouragement everything. Misunderstandings and neglect create more confusion in this world than trickery and malice. At any rate, the last two are certainly much less frequent. Perfection is the measure of heaven, and the wish to be perfect the measure of man. The loss of a much prized treasure is only half felt when we have not regarded its tenure as secure. I have learned much from disease which life could have never taught me anywhere else. We know accurately only when we know little. With knowledge, doubt increases. A person is never happy till their vague strivings has itself marked out its proper limitations. The true poet is called to take in the splendor of the world, and for that reason will always be inclined to praise rather than to find fault. It would be a lowly art that allowed itself to be understood all at once. I was oppressed with the sensations I then felt. I sunk under the weight of them. The master proves himself in recognizing his limitations. Thinking is easy, acting is difficult, and to put one's thoughts into action is the most difficult thing in the world. There is a politeness of the heart. This is closely allied to love. Those who know nothing of foreign languages know nothing of their own. The work of art may have a moral effect, but to demand moral purpose from the artist is to make him ruin his work. Every man must form himself as a particular being, seeking, however, to attain that general idea of which all mankind are constituents. The style of an author is a faithful copy of his mind. The safest thing is always to try to convert everything that is in us and around us into action. Let the others talk and argue about it as they please. The unnatural, that too is natural. Action has magic, grace, and power in it. I am certain that I have been here as I am now 1,000 times before, and I hope to return 1,000 times. The best pleasures of this world are not quite true. What we don't understand, we don't possess. Art is in itself noble. That is why the artist has no fear of what is common. This, indeed, is already ennobled when he takes it up. It is unpleasant to miss even the most trifling thing to which we have been accustomed. English plays, atrocious in content, absurd in form, objectionable in action, execrable English theater. Thou tremblest before anticipated ills, and still bemoanest what thou never losest. To venture an opinion is like moving a piece at chess. It may be taken, but it forms the beginning of a game that is won. Beauty vanishes, virtue is lasting. People can only live with their equals, and not even with them, for in the long run they cannot tolerate that someone is their equal. Limitation of aims is the mother of wisdom and the secret of achievement. The experiences show us just as we are. They make us see our own defects. Let him who believes in immortality enjoy his happiness in silence. He has no reason to give himself airs about it. Each traveler should know what he has to see and what properly belongs to him on a journey. We are not all equal, nor can we be so. I have always paid attention to the merits of my enemies and found it an advantage. When I make a mistake, everyone can see it, but not when I lie. No two men see the world exactly alike, and different temperaments will apply in different ways a principle that they both acknowledge. You shall abstain, that is the eternal song. Make the most of time, it flies away so fast, yet method will teach you to win time. Truth is a torch, but a tremendous one. That is why we hurry past it, shielding our eyes, indeed, in fear of getting burned. If a man or woman is born 10 years sooner or later, their whole aspect and performance shall be different. It is one of heaven's best gifts to hold such a dear creature in one's arms. Our modern wars make many unhappy while they last, and none happy when they are over. No one should be rich except those who understand it. On top of the world, or in the depths of despair. Tolerance comes of age. I see no fault committed that I myself could not have committed at some time or other. Everything we do has a result, but that which is right and prudent does not always lead to good, nor the contrary to what is bad. Perseverance is a silent power that grows irresistibly greater with time. Only learn to seize good fortune, for good fortune's always here. Nature understands no jesting. She is always true, always serious, always severe. She is always right, and the errors are always those of man. Anecdotes and maxims are rich treasures to the man of the world, for he knows how to introduce the former at fit place in conversation. To act is easy, to think is hard. A plant is like a self-willed man, out of whom we can obtain all which we desire, if we will only treat him his own way. Without haste, without rest, bind the motto to thy breast, bear it with thee as a spell, storm or sunshine, guard it well. Whoso shrinks from ideas ends by having nothing but sensations. A man may twist as he pleases and do what he pleases, but he inevitably comes back to the track to which nature has destined him. He only fears men who does not know them, and he who avoids them will soon misjudge them. The question "from where does the poet get it?" addresses only the what. Nobody learns anything about the how when asking that question. In politics, people throw themselves, as on a sick, from one side to the other in the belief they will lie more comfortably. What you desire when young, you have in abundance when old. There is nothing outside of us that is not at the same time in us, and as the external world has its colors, the eye, too, has colors. Which quote did you like the most? Share your opinion in the comments. Don't miss out on a chance to see the next video. Subscribe.